Running a Pokemon card store right now is rough. I know that it seems like it would probably be pretty easy. I know that it seems like it would probably be pretty lucrative because like prices are so expensive. Prices are selling for so much more than MSRP as far as the market goes. But that's not always the case. And I'm going to explain that to you in this video. So first of all, before we jump into things, I am giving away an entire master set of White Flare. And if that's not enough, I'm also giving away an entire master set of Black Bolt. So we do this every single set release. Every set release, we pull, open, buy every single common, uncommon, holo, rare, reverse holo. In this case, Pokeball pattern holo and Master Ball pattern holo, as well as the 1 billion illustration rares. And then the special illustration rares, double rares, ultra rares. But we get it all. And then we put it into one beautiful binder that's custom etched for us by the Unlucky Collector. Make sure to give him a follow on Instagram. But since this set is two sets, we're going to have two winners. So two lucky subscribers are going to take home. One is going to be White Flare and one is going to be Black Bolt. And if you want to be that lucky subscriber, well, obviously, first of all, you need to subscribe. So scroll down and hit that subscribe button down below. And then you want to go back to this video right here. So this is the thumbnail image of the video. It talks about Black Bolt and White Flare pull rates. I'll also link it in the description, but you want to go back to that video and you want to leave a like and a comment on that video. And the reason is that way the random comment picker can do its thing. You just have to like put the URL in for the random comment picker to pick one. And then in this case, it'll pick two. And one winner will get White Flare, one winner will get Black Bolt. So hit that subscribe button and then do those things. And then just come back on Friday, August 9th, 8th. Friday, August 8th. Friday, August 8th is when we will announce the winner. It'll be at the beginning of the video, and then we can get these bad boys out to a new home. I had to buy a lot of it because we didn't open up that much. We opened up like 90 packs of each. We pulled a decent amount, like the commons and uncommons are done. We've talked about this already. I had to buy a lot of illustration rares, special illustration rares, and unfortunately, one black-white rare from White Bolt and one black-white rare from White Flare. So that's not bad, 90 packs, and we pulled one from each. So that's a good thing. But I wanted to talk about these reprint rumors in specific. And this week, like, I really want to do a good job of spreading useful information, actual factual information, because you see and hear all these different chirps from all over the place, whether it be on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or whatever social media outlet you might be getting your information from. You get a lot of information out there, and it's tough to decipher what's real and what is FOMO and what is manipulative and what is like what's actually happening in the Pokemon card market. Now, personally, I'm not a Pokemon card investor. I never have been. It's not something that interests me. I find it to be very scary. I find it to be very volatile. I do not hold booster boxes for years in the hopes that they will get this large return down the line. First of all, I'd have to figure out a way to sell them down the line when they are less liquid than what they are right now. And secondly, I just want to get my margin, my respectable margin, and move on and buy the next thing and buy singles and move those and just keep rinsing and repeating. That's the way that I operate my business. That's the way that we operate our card store. And a lot of card stores do that, but you also have this mindset of Pokemon card investing. And I have no shade that I will throw at Pokemon card investors. If that's the route that you want to go, I understand it. The data is there, the science is there, the math is there. It makes a lot of sense. If you want to buy 1,000 packs of 151 right now at $8, $9 a piece because you are of the belief that in 10 years they're going to be $40 a pack, who am I to tell you you're wrong? Like, I have no idea what is going to happen in 10 years. And if we rewind time 10 years and you look at the black and white era from Pokemon and you look at those booster packs, which you could have bought at $3 10 years ago, I mean, they're over $100 now across the board pretty much. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Pokemon card investing is a bad idea. It's just not for me. I am somebody who likes to take my margin and move on. I don't think any less of anybody who does that. I just think that right now, the amount of Pokemon card investors that have entered into the market, that is what is kind of destroying the market for booster boxes. And it's going to continue to be that way. And we get all these rumors and all this information out there about Pokemon Card Reprints because we are of the belief and of the mindset that history is going to repeat itself, that we are going to get large amounts of booster box reprints. But Pokemon Card Reprints does not necessarily translate to booster box reprints like it had in the past. It used to be during like the pandemic days and really even before the pandemic days, that Pokemon would print just this exorbitant amount of booster boxes and then they would have warehouses full in Bellevue, Washington, or wherever wherever their local offices, their warehouses, and they would have a couple warehouses scattered throughout the United States, maybe one over in Europe, that would house all these booster boxes, all these collection boxes, all these extra products that then they would ship to distribution, who would then sell it to local game stores. And right now, your local game store is hurting because it's tough for them to get product, which is why you have these situations where people like local GameStop store owners are selling booster boxes for market pricing as opposed to MSRP, which, again, I'm not going to throw shade at any store owner that decides to do that. It is their business, and they should do it the way that they think is going to be best for them, because I personally know how difficult it is to get product. I'm still of the belief and the mindset that if I get wholesale prices on a product, I'm going to sell it at MSRP. So like White Flare, Black Bolt, Destined Rivals, Journey Together, Prismatic Evolutions even, like we sold those at MSRP. Mega Evolutions, we will sell at MSRP. I know there's a lot of talk about MSRP going up. I have not heard anything about that. I think Mega Evolution is still going to be $160 per booster box. That's what it was on Pokemon Center when they sold their booster boxes. So I am of the belief that I'm going to be selling Mega Evolutions at $160. $160. Everything changes though after that first print run comes out, because then there is no more product. And I sat down with some distro owners last week to get a feel for what's going on, to get questions answered, because I do want to be able to provide good information so that way you get an understanding of what's really happening out there. And I hope you enjoy it. So if you do, please leave a like, hit that subscribe button, share the video, do all the things. You guys know exactly what to do. But I want to talk about the reprint rumors, because there's been a lot that have been circulating surrounding Paldea Evolved, surrounding Twilight Masquerade, surrounding Destined Rivals. And the truth and the harsh reality is Pokemon reprints right now are completely different than what they used to be. So we have to get out of the mindset that there's going to be all these booster boxes that are going to flood the market like what we saw in 2021. We ran into an issue at the end of 2021 where there was so little product, and product was starting to really start building up to this price point of MSRP, like Evolving Skies, Chilling Rain booster boxes were starting to climb. Fusion Strike was starting out a little bit more expensive, and Celebrations was releasing. And obviously prices for Celebrations out of the gate a couple months before release were approaching twice MSRP, double MSRP, like what we saw from Shiny Fates. And a lot of people were understandably getting very, very frustrated, because what that meant was a lot of store owners, unfortunately, and this is what the part that really makes me mad, store owners and other resellers were just lining up at Targets, at Walmarts, at Best Buys, at GameStops, like much like what you see now, so that way they could buy out the inventory and resell it on the secondary market. Like, this is nothing new. We've been through this before. It's still happening. It's happening again now that the rise in popularity of Pokemon has returned. Like, that started really after the release of Surging Sparks, the idea of Prismatic Evolutions coming out, the release of Pokemon Pocket. It all kind of culminated into this additional perfect storm that we saw. And now as we enter into the 30th anniversary next year, that hype is probably going to continue. So Pokemon was like, pump the brakes for a second. We're going to print as much as we possibly can. We're going to turn on these printers. We're going to burr, and we're going to print as much as we can to get more out there. So that way everybody has accessibility to the product. Well, that announcement was 8 months ago now, and we're still struggling. There are still people struggling. Now, it's not all doom and gloom. If you're looking around hard enough, and if you're somebody who really goes out there and you maybe search for 5, 6, 7, 8 stores, and you spend maybe a couple hours, a few hours a week hunting, more than likely you're going to find something. But the problem runs into, like, who has the time for that? Who makes the time for that? Because a lot of people have full-time jobs during the day. They have families that they have to provide for, or maybe they have to take kids to daycare or take kids to school, or whatever the case may be. They have obstacles that get in the way of going out to hunt during restock days. And I think anybody can be empathetic to that situation. It's not easy, obviously, for everybody to have the luxury. Some people who work, third shift jobs or maybe second shift jobs might have a little bit more opportunity to go out in the morning after work is done or before they start work. But anybody is going to be able to come up with some sort of excuse or reason as to why they can't go out and hunt. So it's a lot easier just to be like, well, it's the market's fault right now. And it is the market's fault right now. There's just not enough supply to meet demand. Like, it's really that simple. And when we start talking about reprints in 2021, a lot of people are of the thought and of the mindset, and I got this question multiple times, not just in comments, but also in my stream last week, through DMs, through emails, about if I'm going to be stocking the reprint of Paldea Evolved, or if I'm going to be stocking the reprint of Twilight Masquerade, or if I'm going to be stocking the reprint of Destined Rivals. And there's a lot of different caveats that go along with that. First of all, What reprint? Like, not every reprint is going to hit a local game store or an online game store. Some reprints or restocks that happen are only going to be favored to big box stores. We have to remember that there's 2 different chains really that Pokemon does, and 3 if you want to include them as one of the chains. Like, Pokemon will sell direct to you. They do that through the Pokemon Center, right? They sell, you go to pokemoncenter.com and you buy a booster box or an ETB, you wait in this million long person queue, and hopefully you get lucky and you get something and you don't get errored out. Or they send stuff to direct to online big box stores like Walmart or Target and Best Buy and GameStop, and you can buy stuff online like booster boxes online from Target directly or from Best Buy directly, or they will send it to wholesale marketing companies like Excel, like MJ, and they go around and they stock these stores. They also have tons of vending machines now, way more than they ever had before, as a way that they can kind of direct sell to you as the end consumer. So there are way more options right now for Pokemon to be able to feed product out there. And they're doing things completely differently than what they did at the end of 2021 when we saw this giant reprint of booster boxes. At the time, Pokemon card investing was still a relatively new thing. And again, this is not to throw any shade at Pokemon card investing. This is just the way we are. This is just information. I have no negative opinion about those who want to hold on to booster boxes for a long time. So please don't take anything that I'm saying out of context. Like, I think everybody does belong in this hobby. They're doing whatever they can to try and get more products out there, and sometimes that just means printing differently and distributing differently. Right now, they're just doing things a lot differently than what they did in 2021. What you're seeing when you see a reprint of Paldea Evolved is you might see some booster boxes pop up in vending machines. You might see some coastal properties, East Coast, West Coast, California, that get booster boxes of Paldea Evolved. That doesn't necessarily mean it's getting floated out there everywhere. It just means Pokemon is printing whatever they can, and they're putting it wherever they can put it. And it's not necessarily this big, giant amount that they're sending to distribution centers that will then stock a local game store. So there's a dozen, 15, 20 maybe distributors that are surrounding, the entire United States that work with local game stores. And unfortunately, they're empty. They don't have a ton of product. Every once in a while, Pokemon will be like, okay, we'll send you this product this week and this product this week. And it's such a small amount that they have to divvy it up amongst, their 1 million accounts that they have. Like, there's a ton of new stores that have popped up over the past couple years. And the reason that happened is because at the end of whatever this last downturn we had with Pokemon was, there were a ton of new stores that emerged, understanding that there was going to be a boom, and willing to take all of the junk product that these distributors still had. So they were still holding on to Battle Academies and Pokeball tins and collection boxes, and you have all these new accounts that are like, hey, we'll take those, we'll take whatever we can get. And they're building up allocations in the hopes that they're going to be able to get booster boxes and Elite Trainer boxes, knowing that Prismatic Evolutions is coming out. And distributors are like, okay, yeah, come on board. Like, we'll hook you up in the future. Well, what happened was they got all these accounts and they didn't necessarily get this giant increase in amount of product, because the giant increase in amount of product started going elsewhere. I don't think a lot of distributors assumed that there was going to be all these vending machines that popped up. I don't think they assumed that Dick's Sporting Goods and Ace Hardware was going to start selling Pokemon cards, and that Barnes & Noble was going to expand their Pokemon card selection, or that GameStop would basically take over and only sell Pokemon cards at their store all of a sudden. So reprint rumors are just rumors. And unfortunately, we need booster box reprints, but it's just not happening. And going back to what I was talking about at the beginning of the video, when I sit here and I talk to you about wanting to be able to get more product and how it's not easy to be a store right now, especially a store that sells at MSRP, you make your living off of the margin that you expect. So if we don't get boxes, there is no margin at all. And once you start getting a limited amount of boxes with these restocks that come out, so Destined Rivals just got this restock, right? I talked about that in a video a couple weeks ago. We got a limited amount of Destined Rivals for this reprint or restock or whatever you want to call it. The problem was it was only 4 cases. So you're only getting 24 boxes of a set where you got a lot of price. And again, I don't want to complain. I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining. I promise. I know there's a lot of other stores who get far less or maybe didn't get any of the restock whatsoever. So it's great that we were able to get even a little bit of it. But when you're getting charged $200 wholesale, well, what are you supposed to do with that? You can't sell it for $160 because you're going to lose money. And that's just the way things are right now, and the way things will continue to be as long as people continue to buy stuff on the secondary market where boxes are so expensive. I guarantee you your local game store, your local Pokemon card store, selling at market price does not make them super happy. And it probably doesn't. They would probably much rather sell 120, 130, maybe 140 a booster box and get basically unlimited amounts. I guarantee you they would much rather have that, get to order as much as they want, whenever they want, replace whenever they want. They would much rather do that than get limited, 2-3 cases per release. Because then they have to make that margin last a lot longer. And not knowing when your distributor is ever going to stock more Pokemon cards and what reprints look like it's volatile across the board right now. So it's really important to understand that. And like I said, we'll talk more about that part on Wednesday when we deep dive into more of like a conversation with distribution about what is all going on. But these reprint rumors right now, unfortunately, are just rumors. And there's nothing that's happening. I talked to multiple distributors last week. They don't have any new booster boxes that have come in stock. So looking out there, like if you're somebody who really wants booster boxes, unfortunately right now the market price is the market price. And that's the dumbest thing ever. I get it. Like that's a really annoying thing to hear and a really annoying thing to say. And if I'm not a sealed collector, I never have been. Like I'm somebody who just likes collecting Pokemon cards. I like putting together my master sets. That's really fun for me. I like building decks. So the single market crashing, and seeing all these downward spirals in illustration rares and special illustration rares is great. Like I love that because it gives me the opportunity to pick up cards cheaper and cheaper all the time. But not everybody collects the way that I collect, and I understand that. And it's not fun if you're a sealed collector and looking at a Destined Rivals booster box that has jumped up now to $285.84, and it just came out. It just came out, a month and a half ago, and all of a sudden it's at $285. And the lowest it's ever gotten was $244. Like, that's the low point. That's $84 or $81, $83 above MSRP is the lowest the Destined Rivals booster box has ever gotten, which is really, really frustrating. But again, that's the way the market is right now because you have all this mentality of people who want to hold on to this product for 10 years down the road, and they're cycling things back and forth. So if you're somebody who just likes to rip Pokemon cards and you like to collect the singles and you just like opening packs, really now, it comes a time where you kind of got to pivot. And this is what Pokemon is giving us right now. Not booster boxes. So are they reprinting? Are they restocking? Maybe. I can't say for sure. But what I can say is there's more product out there. They're just putting it out differently than what they were before. And what that means is you really need to expand the way that you think and expand the way that you search. Because you can't rely on just buying a box of 36 packs. And I understand the desire to do that because then you can say, well, I just want to keep it sealed. And then if you decide you want to rip it because prices come down or because you changed your mind, then you can rip it. You have that opportunity to. Whereas maybe a collection box obviously isn't going to be as desirable. But if you're somebody who just likes collecting Pokemon cards, it really comes down right now to a transition of, okay, well, what's the easy way or the cheapest way that I can access these booster packs? And it might be through a Cynthia's Garchomp box, or it might be through the new Team Rocket tin that comes out, in a couple weeks, so that way you can get a little Destined Rivals, or it might be through the Victini poster collection, or the Victini collection box that comes out, in a couple weeks to get some Black Bolt and White Flare. It might be different than what it's used to. It might be going into Target and just picking up a few Destined Rivals check lanes or sleeve boosters because that's what's available. It's like a reprint, restock. Like they're printing stuff out all the time and they're putting stuff out there. It's just still not enough to meet demand. And you still have the situation where all these mindsets are talking about these investments, and all these mindsets are talking about what the potential is. And even though I feel like a lot of people are starting to exit the hobby and sell off their collections, there's still a lot of money out there that is spending money on this stuff and turning it on the secondary market, selling it on Facebook Marketplace or some other outlet. The accessibility of Pokemon cards is so much bigger than what it's ever been. There's card shows literally every week, it seems. So there's so much opportunity for people to go and get that instant gratification of buying a new product right away. And like, even if they're paying a little bit more, like, they just see that right away and they think, okay, well, I'm just going to buy this. I've always wanted a Destined Rivals booster box. I'll just tuck it away in the closet. I'll just put it on my shelf. It's cool to look at. And then, you know, in 5 years, I'll move off of it if I need to, or I'll move off of it when I need to, when I need the money. And it'll just keep going up, because right now it's tough for Pokemon to print enough booster boxes. I think Pokemon realizes that. And that's why these reprint rumors, which if you're somebody who's been around in Pokemon for a long time, you're automatically thinking reprint means booster boxes. And that's just not the case anymore, despite how badly the market needs it. If you look at Journey Together right now, definitely a set that started out a lot more expensive, $275 for this enhanced version. We got a restock of it. It was also enhanced. It was very, very small. And it's continued to trend up a little bit. It was down to $199. It's up about 10% over the last couple months here, sitting at $215 right now, but still trending upward now that there's less and less available. So even with the singles falling apart, like, singles don't necessarily translate to the price of the booster box. Here's Prismatic Evolutions. We did get a decent sized reprint of this, even though distributors were charging a lot more. They were charging about double wholesale costs, and then some. I mean, there were LGSs who were paying $100 wholesale for Prismatic Evolutions for that second print run, because distributors aren't getting as much product either. So they're trying to find out ways to kind of balance everything, and it's just like they are also suffering from having a lack of product because of the reprints, if you want to call them that are going to big box retailers and vending machines and places like that instead. So Prismatic has started climbing a little bit again. It's dived off a little bit over the last week or so, sitting at about $105 right now. It was down to $98, so it's up about 8% from its all-time low. But Prismatic Evolution is always going to be a very popular set. Surging Sparks, after that pretty large restock that we got, and even the restock was $200 again, like what we saw from Destined Rivals. It was just significantly bigger. That only dropped this to $215, and there's a lot of people talking about this restock of Surging Sparks, but look what's happened since then. Like, it just kind of started ballooning back up again, and now it's at $240.40 and slowly starting to climb back up to that $265.98 mark. Stellar Crown has just been going and climbing, even though there's not a whole lot in the set. Very, very similar to what we saw from Journey Together, like a very small set, nothing very expensive in Stellar Crown. Like, your cheapest card, or your most expensive card in the set's like, what, Terapagos SIR, that's like $40, $45, somewhere around there. I haven't even looked. And it's also not the most liquid set, but still climbing, and now it's sitting at $223.51, so still up about 34% over the past 6 months. Even though it's not the most desirable set to rip, it still climbs, just because of the mindset of sealed collecting and sealed Pokemon card investing. Here's Twilight Masquerade. We did get a decent restock of this also, but it kind of flew under the radar and didn't really do much to the price point either. You see a little blip here in March, where it dropped down to about like $195, $200, somewhere around there, and just started climbing back up. So it hit $284 recently. It's gone back down to about $277. But even so, even like the reprint rumors and the restocks, the reprints that you see filling up vending machines, and if you haven't looked at the vending machines, I would highly recommend, just a lot of people don't have them yet, but a lot of people do, going to, just Google Pokemon vending machines, type in your zip code, and see if there's one near you. And that's a good way that you can at least expand your search reach to try and get some cards to collect or buy. Twilight Masquerade up almost 50% over the past 6 months. Temporal Forces keeps climbing. We did get restocks of this at the beginning of the year, but it was kind of too late, and the idea of Pokemon card investing had already skyrocketed. So you see this one up 42% over the past 6 months, sitting at $231 right now. Paldean Fates Elite Trainer boxes, that Bubble Mew obviously garnished a lot of attention, and Paldean Fates has just skyrocketed. Not a whole lot in this set. Like, honestly, like, baby shinies are cool. Full art shinies are still relatively cheap in this set. set, except for maybe the Full Art Mew, which is like $14, $15, maybe a little bit more. But then you have a few special illustration rares that do really well, but the Mew is obviously by far the most expensive one. This is up 112% over the last 6 months and continuing to climb. The Paradox Rift, like I've heard some people talk about maybe Paradox Rift getting reprinted. There was a decent reprint of Paradox Rift that we saw like December-ish, but it was already, again, too late because you had this giant influx of people in the hobby, and there wasn't enough product to keep up with it. And because of that, the demand kept climbing. So it jumped up to 217. Now it's sitting at 215, so that's up about 44%. Scarlet and Violet 151 Elite Trainer boxes. We never really got a strong reprint of this, but it was out for a while. And again, you saw booster bundles, which are probably significantly cheaper for Pokemon to print more and more of, and also they can fit a lot more in vending machines. They can fit a lot more on store shelves. So 151, definitely they've printed a lot more stuff, just not necessarily Elite Trainer boxes. And because of that, the sealed Elite Trainer boxes have gone up over 60%. So 274.66 from 171. That's up about 60%. Obsidian Flames. This is, I mean, 60% growth. There's really nothing in this set. Like, you have the Charizard EX Special Illustration here. Smallest set, I think, in Scarlet and Violet in the entire block. But still up 60%. So not a whole lot of people cracking open Obsidian Flames right now. 178 is where it was in January. Now it's up 60% to 275. And this is the one that I think a lot of people were talking about as far as reprints go. Paldea Evolved. And a lot of hope, right? A lot of hope because Paldea Evolved has been around for 2 years. And if they're going to reprint Paldea Evolved, well, then the assumption is they're going to reprint everything. And you're probably right. They probably will put more stock out there. There probably will be more booster bundles of 151 and more booster bundles of Prismatic Evolutions, but not necessarily the capstone product, which I think is what a lot of people attribute reprints to. And that's kind of why I wanted to make this video, because that's what I always attributed reprints to, because that's what it was. That's what it was communicated to us by Pokemon, and what was communicated to us by distribution was the capstone product, whether it be a main series set, booster boxes, or a specialty set, ETBs, and that's not necessarily the case anymore. So while I am confident there is more printing happening and reprints are actually happening, it's not going to be the same type of reprints that what we're used to. So Paldea Evolved up about 78%, currently sitting at 358, which is just off of its all-time high of 369. It's crazy. This set's only 2 years old and selling for 2.5 times MSRP and continue to climb. I didn't put Scarlet and Violet in here. I didn't hear anything about Scarlet and Violet base, but I did hear questions about Paldea Evolved, Paradox Rift, Twilight Masquerade, and Destined Rivals. And again, I do think that they are putting more product out, and maybe even booster boxes, maybe even Elite Trainer boxes, but I think your better luck is going to be at vending machines or at big box retailers. I think that's where the majority of the product is going. And as frustrating as it is to just have to go to a restock line or whatever, like, I think you just have to, like, they're just going to restock at random days, maybe random times, maybe more days, more times, and you just have to keep looking whenever you can in order to get Pokemon cards, and it might not be the capstone product that we're used to when it comes to reprints. Obviously, I will keep you guys posted. If I do get wind of anything, I would love it if a reprint came, a giant, massive reprint came that was able to kind of reset things. You could buy at wholesale, you could sell even below MSRP. That would be fine. But a lot of stores, I think, would welcome that, because then it gives them the opportunity to house product at a decent price point that then they can provide their customers, make their, like, it's a perfect world for everybody. Problem is, there's so much money in Pokemon right now, and so many eyes that don't typically follow Pokemon in Pokemon, that no matter the size, and this is why I think Pokemon has, like, adjusted their mindsets when it comes to reprints, and no matter the size of reprints they do on booster boxes, it's just going to get swallowed up, and the market is just going to correct briefly and then just continue to climb, which I think is the problem right now. So I want to put the information out there so that way people aren't like, oh, I'm going to talk to my LGS and see when they're getting more Paldea Evolved booster boxes in, because unfortunately the only way they're probably getting it is buying it on the secondary market and paying, 70-75% of whatever the market price is, and then they're going to have to list it at the market price, and then people are going to be upset because they're like, well, I thought it was reprinting, and my LGS is still selling it for $350 or $360 or $375 or whatever the case may be. So keep your eyes peeled. Obviously, I don't want this to be doom and gloom. Like, Pokemon's still fun. It's just it's more of a hunt now than it's ever been before, and I do think it's going to continue to get better once things change. It's just going to take, like, different buying habits. You know what I mean? Like adjusting buying habits, not necessarily buying from the secondary market as much. And if it means just kind of ripping at MSRP and just doing that and then buying singles, like that's the only thing that really I think is going to help reset things at a quicker pace. Otherwise, it's just time. It's just time. But I hope you guys are all doing well. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me ramble. I love this stuff. I love you guys. You guys are awesome. We'll get through it all together. I will talk to you again in a couple days. Until next time, peace.